Okay, some really important rugby league news has been announced earlier today. Australia and England are to play a three-test series at the end of this current 2025 season. And it's been the first time Australia have toured the UK since 2003 on an Ashes tour. We had a Great Britain tour in 2007, but it's been a very, very long time since Australia have played either England or Great Britain in the UK outside of a World Cup. So this has been a very, very long time in the making. 22 years since the last Ashes series tour to the Northern Hemisphere, and it's been the first meeting between England and Australia since the 2017 World Cup final, which Australia narrowly won 6-0 in a gripping contest. I will stress that. Now, the three Test matches will take place over three consecutive Saturdays. The first test will take place at Wembley on the 25th of October. The second test will take place at Everton's brand new Bramley Moore Dock Stadium on the 1st of November. And the third test will take place in Leeds at Headingley on the 8th of November. Now, that's the pleasantries out the way. What this really will tell us is how big the gap is between the NRL and Super League, in my personal opinion. 2017 was a brilliant World Cup in the sense that England and Australia, both the opening match of the tournament and the final, were very, very close games with very little between the sides way back in 2017. A lot has happened since then. Yes, New Zealand had toured England before COVID, and England won that series 2-1, and which was a great advert for the strength of Super League at the time pre-COVID. And New Zealand were on the way to becoming the top dogs as a test side at that time. They were on the way up, but England won that three match test series 2-1. Then COVID hits. We have a delayed World Cup, delayed until 2022. And it was very, very obvious that the decline between, or the gap, shall I say, between Super League and the NRL had widened and widened significantly. And now people will say, oh, but the last couple of World Club challenges have been won by English Super League sides. And that is true. But what you have to bear in mind is for a while we didn't have a World Club challenge because of COVID and the pandemic. And generally, when the World Club Challenge takes place, the NRL side is still technically in pre-season, whereas the Super League side will have already played 2 or 3 weeks of the season at that point. And that is very, very telling. The NRL side will not pull out a full-strength lineup because it's in their pre-season. And so that's not a true litmus test of where Super League's at and where the NRL are at, in my personal opinion. What will be the true litmus test is if England can win a test match in this series and take it to a decider, in my personal opinion. And also what the crowd numbers are going to be like, because when New Zealand toured several years ago, I think it was in 2018, I believe New Zealand toured, they didn't sell out all three games. There was a lot of empty seats. And that was concerning for me at the time, considering at that time we were building for the 2021 World Cup. And it was a bit of a concern for me back then that we weren't selling out games, and questions had to be asked of how the RFL promoted that test series, what the ticket prices were like. And so that's what I'm going to be looking at this time round. Will all three games sell out? I'm hoping they will. But what we've seen with Wembley since 2018 with the Challenge Cup final is attendances really struggle. And 2018 people said, oh, because Catalan are playing the Challenge Cup final, that explains why the attendance is bad. That was Catalan Dragons' second Challenge Cup final. The first time was a sellout, so you cannot say in that one game that's because Catalan were playing that attendance was poor. 2019 attendance wasn't great, the two lowest attendances we've had at a Challenge Cup final since the Second World War. Post-COVID, attendances have also been a struggle at Wembley. So Wembley's going to be an interesting one for the first test. The Bramley Moore Dock in Everton. Last time a test match was played in Liverpool was against New Zealand. They didn't sell out the allocation at Anfield. In fact, they didn't even have the upper tiers of the stands open, and they couldn't sell out the lower bowl at Anfield. So again, while it's a fantastic facility they are building at Bramley Moore Dock, and I have no doubt the playing surface will be a perfect playing surface for rugby league, that's going to be interesting to see how ticket sales at Bramley Moore Dock go. Headingley is a safe location, and I say that because Leeds is and Headingley is a rugby league city. It's a rugby league stadium, and Headingley is a fantastic facility. It has been upgraded. There's still room for improvement at Headingley, but it's a fantastic stadium for rugby league. the Leeds locals and the Bradford locals as well in that part of Yorkshire are rugby league mad. It's going to be interesting what the ticket price is going to be. It's also going to be interesting the strength of lineups because it's going to be a very long season. Hopefully, all the NRL stars and all the Super League stars are all fully fit. We don't have any major injuries to any of the key incumbents in those various positions, and we could also see a lot of debutants. There's a lot of young players in the NRL right now that are putting their hand up for Test selection, and we are sort of seeing a changing of the guard in the NRL. We're also sort of seeing a changing of the guard in the Super League as well. Some great veteran players in both leagues have reached the end of their international and playing careers. We could see a lot of new faces at the Test level for the first time, which would be fantastic. But I'm more interested to see the crowd numbers because rugby league at the moment in the UK and in France is not in a good, healthy position financially. This is going to be a massive shot in the arm. They've got until October the 25th to promote this. I hope the promotion is strong and good. All 3 games are going to be on the BBC, which is vitally important. Free-to-air coverage is important. You get a wider audience. And that's something that rugby league has been lacking, is that wider national appeal here in England. Because it is predominantly seen as a northern working class sport. And as a London Broncos fan, not having any free-to-air games last year, when we were in the Super League, I think was a missed opportunity by the RFL to try and grow the brand outside of the Northern Heartlands. Having the first Test at Wembley, in my opinion, is a fantastic move. It brings back, memories of the Ashes tours in the 80s and 90s where that first Test would be at Wembley between Great Britain and Australia. The other thing that annoys me a little bit is it's not a Great Britain Test side, it's an England Test side. And again, you lose that little bit of magic where you can also get fans from Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland, because there are rugby league fans outside of the north of England interested because it's England-Australia. And I think that is a potential mistake yes, it's a great rivalry between Australia and England when it comes to both rugby league, cricket and rugby union. Not having it as a Great Britain side, I think, is a miss by the RFL. In saying that, it's fantastic that we've got an Ashes tour again. It should not have taken 22 years for Australia to tour England or the UK. In my opinion, I think that was 22 years too long. The fact that we didn't have a Great Britain side between 2007 and 2019 was again a mistake by the RFL, again in my opinion, and the IRL as well. Because when I was a kid growing up, Australia or New Zealand touring and playing against Great Britain and vice versa was a big thing. And with my dad who used to play for the Army, both rugby union and rugby league, it was a big thing in our household when I was a kid, watching the great Australian players and the great British players go toe to toe in a 3-test series. And this is what the game needs in this country. It does. And people say, and a lot of people say that there aren't fans outside the north of England for rugby league or the southwest of France, which is not the case, because I am an example of a fan who shouldn't exist according to many. I've been a rusted on rugby league fan since I could walk and talk. That's 32, nearly 33 years I've been alive out of my 35 that I have been watching rugby league. The Challenge Cup was a staple in my household. The Challenge Cup final was religiously watched. The Rugby League World Cups were religiously watched. The reason why this channel got some traction in the first place was the 2017 Rugby League World Cup. And I'm a devoted fan to the sport, and I'm really frustrated with how the sport is being governed here in the Northern Hemisphere. I do think the gap between the NRL and Super League has grown, and as I say, this will be an important litmus test. And also potential hints that the NRL may consider more involvement and potentially invest or buy Super League from the RFL. We've had a lot of reports coming out over the last 2 years that this is becoming more and more likely. And so we'll see what happens, but it's brilliant it's on free-to-air coverage on the BBC. It's brilliant we have an Ashes tour again for the first time in a very, very long time, and I'm really looking forward to this. I expect Australia to win all 3 tests. If England can win a test match and take it to a decider, I think that's for the benefit of rugby league. But this is going to be a fun 3-match series, 3-test series. I'm really looking forward to it. and I hope all you guys are as well. But from me for now, thank you very much for watching, and I'll have some more content for you all very, very soon.